Commissioner. The young one on our bench. She's going to lead all of the young people to the polls. Luke Warford.
I'll keep going. I would keep going. Hello, Texas Democrats. Thank you for being here, truly. My name is Luke Warford, and I am your nominee for the Texas Railroad Commission. Exactly. Thank you so much to the party, our convention co-chairs, and the city of Dallas for hosting us this weekend. I'm honored to be with you here tonight with so many people I've met while working at the party or running this year. Now, I know y'all know the Railroad Commission, especially if you're still here, has nothing to do with railroads, and that it actually regulates the Texas oil and gas industry. But I'm required to say, if you want to learn more, my website does have a bunch of information about my platform and experience in business, economics, and clean energy. But that's not what I want to talk about tonight, because many of y'all know me by now, and all of the candidates you heard from have incredibly impressive careers and compelling stories. I'm 32 years old. The youngest Democrat to run statewide in more than 30 years. And I'm running because I'm sick and tired of watching the people in power run our state into the ground. Right now, for so many of my generation, your kids and grandkids, despite all of the progress we've made, developments in science and technology, it feels like things are actually getting worse, not better. And there is no better example than last February's grid failure. As a show of hands, how many of y'all lost power during last February's winter storm? A lot of y'all, right? And what was that like? You can shout it out. I think it was bad. I'm going to summarize and say that it was bad. In every room I'm in, whether it's Democrats, Republicans, or independents, I ask the same question, and I get the same response. Because it shouldn't be a partisan issue whether or not we can keep the lights on. Texas is the energy capital of the world. From oil and gas to wind, solar, geothermal, and hydrogen, we can produce more energy than any other state. So why is it that, as we've seen again this week, our grid is constantly on the edge of collapse? It's sad, it's frustrating, it's wrong, but one thing it's not is surprising. Because you can cheer for that. Because Republicans, like my opponent, Wayne Christian, have had it easy their whole careers. Showing up, smiling for the camera, shamelessly taking campaign contributions from the folks they're supposed to regulate. One company literally gave Wayne Christian $100,000 in exchange for approving a project that would threaten the groundwater for 20 million people. But they don't do their jobs. They don't look out for you. The same is true on emissions. Texas is the largest greenhouse gas emitter in the country because the Texas Railroad Commission can't be bothered to enforce the existing rules. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of getting push notifications about Joe Manchin. We don't have to wait on Washington to make progress on climate. We can lower our emissions by winning this race right here in Texas. And electricity prices. We are the energy capital of the world, but right now, you're paying more because Wayne Christian is in the pocket of the pipelines and stuck you with $3.4 billion in costs from last February's winter storm. Yeah, I like that. Well, we don't have to take it anymore. As Democrats, we know that results matter, that getting things done, delivering for people, and following through on our commitments matters. That's why we need to kick Wayne Christian and Ken Paxton and Dan Patrick and Greg Abbott out of office in November. Now, I want y'all to take a minute and think back to the grid failure last February. To the dark, the cold, the uncertainty. To parents trying to feed their kids with refrigerators full of spoiled food, and folks whose medical devices wouldn't work in the cold. Families across our state are still dealing with the property damage, and 700 Texans literally froze to death. You shouldn't have to live in fear that the grid is going to fail every time it's too hot or too cold. Because there are other fights that we need to focus on, where folks like Beto and Mike and Rochelle and Susan are leading the charge. And when I'm your Texas Railroad Commissioner, you won't have to. Thank you all so much for having me. Thank you especially to the crew down in front. Please go to lukewarford.com to sign up to volunteer and donate. And together, we can turn the lights on in one of the shadiest agencies in our state and make sure that what happened last February never happens again. Thank you.
And now, welcome back to the stage the members of the 2022 statewide